in. Happy Tuesday. Yesterday, we actually got our first snow. Actually, we got it on Sunday. We got a nice big snowstorm. Here's some pictures of the boys playing out in the snow. They had so much fun. But we got like 9 inches, which is great. And I was such a naysayer. I was like, we're not going to have a day off. We're not going to have a delay because the snow stopped on Sunday night at like 5 or 6. So I thought they'd have plenty of time. But since we got enough snow, we actually were blessed with a 2-hour delay, which if you're a teacher in any sort of snowy area, you will know that a 2-hour delay is awesome because we don't have to make up the day at the end of the year. So it counts as a full day. And instead of my students coming in at 8:15, they came in at 10:15. And I got to get here still early. I got to go to breakfast with my boys before school. Just got a couple extra hours to chill on a Monday before coming in, which was a whole lot of fun. So yesterday was kind of a fast day and today is already Tuesday. I have an IEP meeting this morning, so I'm getting a few things ready. The meeting will probably take about an hour, so I'm making sure I have my plans ready for the sub that will come in here. But I wanted to show you, I mentioned last week in my video that we were doing in science, we're talking about light, opaque light, translucent light, and transparent light, if you can even see this. We had a failed experiment. I don't think I told you this, but we were getting ready to do this experiment. It was on Generation Genius, where we're kind of making our own superhero symbols. So we would draw an opaque symbol in the middle with Sharpie, and then we would shine light through with the light source, either a flashlight or an iPhone light or something, and then it would display the symbol. Well, it's like glaringly obvious now, but at the time it wasn't. So, we did the whole experiment, we got it ready. Then I was like, let's turn off the lights. I'm gonna get my flashlight, let's see what happens. And then I put it through this onto the whiteboard so we could see the symbol. And it was just one big circle because, like I said, now it's just so obvious that these lids that I had ordered, because in the video they did it with just a clear plastic lid, like a lid that goes on like a Pringles container or something. So I just ordered a bunch of lids, off we go, didn't really think about it. But no, it's not clear enough. So yesterday we did the experiment again, but with these actual transparent discs. And then they got to do their symbols, which was a whole lot of fun, and it actually worked. So it was nice to talk about, a failed experiment, why it failed, the difference between translucent and transparent, and all that fun stuff. So they got to take those home, but then almost failed because these have plastic on the side of it that I had to take off, which that wouldn't have been like funny. I just would have been annoyed if I did all that and then they just peeled off their symbol. But I told them when they took it home, if there was still some plastic, because some of them may have had one side that still had to peel off, they know how to do it now. So I just said, peel it off, draw your symbol, you're good to go. Anyway, let's see what we are up to this week. This week we are talking about subtraction. This week we are still doing fairy tales. We'll be ending that fairy tales, I believe, this week. I need to check my long-term plans, but I think this week is the end of fairy tales. It is the end of our light and sound unit. And like I said, we're diving into sound. And then in phonics, we're doing those glued sounds. So last week we did all the NG endings with that ng sound. And then this week we are still doing that ng sound, but with NK. So let me see what we're up to. Before we get into the day, I don't know if I showed you my new lanyard. I had a cute little pencil one, but one of my colleagues for Christmas got us each lanyards that they thought represented us, and this one with the little Starbucks on top. So cute, and the little smiley face. I love it. All right, let's head on over and look at the plans for today. I have a quick little morning message for after our morning meeting. We have art today, and then yesterday we reviewed different ways to add numbers within 20. So I'm thinking next week I'll go into a little deep dive of what we're doing in math these days with addition and subtraction within 20, because these are going to be some of the most important lessons that we teach as we continue to build on the addition and subtraction strategies. So maybe I will do that sometime in the next coming weeks. But yesterday we reviewed addition because today we're going to dive into subtraction. And so I just want to hear how they can solve these numbers or these equations. And I picked them purposely. So 6 plus 7 is a doubles plus 1 fact. With 12 plus 4, I'm looking for them to probably count on. And then 9 plus 5, they could use the making 10 strategy. And then it's Tuesday, so we have Tell Me Tuesday. They pair up with a partner. Tell me 3 words with glued sounds and try to spell them. I always give some examples, so if they can't think of any off the top of their head, they could spell ring, tank, and bang. And then we are working on opinions, so tell me, in your opinion, what's the best snack to have after school and why? So looking for that reasoning there. In Haggerty, so phonics, I told you today I have a meeting. So in phonics, we're going to go over these glued sounds. We already did the NG ones last week, so this is a review. And then the NK ones are new for this week. So ank, ink, onk, and unk. And then after they go over that, I'm going to have students play read and color. This is a game I have for pretty much every skill. I love using it for review. And basically for decoding practice. I actually don't think I have these over on TPT yet. I'll try to get them up there. I know they're in the SJT Literacy Club. That's what I made them for. So if you're in that club, these are the decodable games. I'll see. If I have them on TPT, I'll link them down below though. But basically students just need a game piece. They can put it anywhere on the board. They will roll the die, move that many spaces, read the word, and color in the matching one. And they keep going until they color in all the spaces. Snack and recess, we are still doing fairy tale. So today we're going to identify the traits of a fairy tale, royal characters, good versus bad, and magic with Rumpelstiltskin. So that'll be a fun one. And then we go into our reading center. So since I have a sub, I'm going to have her do this together with the whole class. This is from Sarah's Snippets. And we'll just talk about bad characters and good characters. So a lot of times fairy tales will have both. They'll have kind of good and evil. And then they'll have to decide the king in that story. Was the king bad? Yes or no? They'll circle it, and then they will write down evidence from the text. So if they were bad, they'll write down how they know, and if they were not bad, they'll write a reason they were good or something they did. Same with the Miller and Rumpelstiltskin. Then when they're done, we'll go over to read and match. Somebody had asked a lot of my seesaw activities that I've been doing. I've just been creating them myself, like this one right here, based on what we're kind of learning. I have these, I have decodable sentence scrambles, I have all sorts of stuff. I am working to get those up on TPT. That will probably take me a little bit longer because I also like to, if I'm gonna put them on TPT, I like to make them in Google Slides as well because not everybody has Seesaw. I have been uploading these into the club as I make them though. So then after we finish this, they'll go over to read and match and then into Epic for a little. So that is kind of what we are up to in literacy today. The students are going to be coming in a little bit, so I'm going to get everything ready and prepared on my back table for the sub when she gets here, so that way I have everything ready to go. I want to get the slides up on the board. So I'm going to pause sharing what we are up to, and instead I will pop in tomorrow or later today and let you know the rest of what we're working on this week. Good morning, happy Wednesday. I feel like I'm looking like a slob today, but we are in cozy mode. But I just wanted to share a little bit about what we're doing today on Wednesday. At the end of the day yesterday, we had to have a little class meeting to talk about calling out. I talked to you last week about when we come back from Christmas vacation, just going over those routines and procedures. And one of the ones that really is not sticking right now is not calling out. It's never like a malicious thing. You know, all my kids they have wonderful ideas and they just want to share them so badly, but they're not letting other kids, take a turn and get to actually speak. So we had a whole little class meeting. I just dropped the book, 1 second. We had a whole little class meeting and I read Quiet Please, Owen McPhee. Now, this book is by Patrice Barton. It's the same author as The Invisible Boy. And this one is a little bit different. We read My Mouth is a Volcano at the beginning of the year, which I love, and it teaches them strategies. I would always read that one first because it teaches them like an actual strategy to use when they feel like they're going to erupt. It tells them to take a deep breath, picture the words in your head, and then, wait your turn to go ahead and speak it. And instead of focusing on a strategy per se, this one just highlights the importance of actually listening and not speaking over people all the time, like not spoiling things for others, letting other kids have a chance to speak, and talks about how it feels to be that other person if you're trying to be the friend and you're trying to have a conversation and, the other person just keeps talking. You don't get to really put your 2 cents in or your thoughts or opinions or feelings in. So I like kind of reading both of them throughout the year to give just different perspectives on why we need to think before we speak, raise our hands before we speak, and kind of work on that self-control. So we read this one yesterday. I also have, I think it's called Lacey Walker Nonstop Talker. I've got a few back there that if we need to take out, we will. I had told you in phonics we are working on these glued sounds. Last week we did all of these ones. This week we are introducing that ng sound with NK. So I added them to our sound wall in the back here. This is the last one we're adding here. When we move on to silent E and some of those vowel patterns, we're gonna take this spelling rule down and add it over here. And then I think I showed you this, but we did our addition strategies last week, so I put that up there. I took down our vocabulary wall. Just because while I liked it, we weren't using it as much. My students were getting the vocabulary and using it, but then they weren't like referencing the wall. And so I don't want something up in the classroom unless they're actually referencing it. And speaking of that, when we talk about our heart words, this is getting full. It obviously is full. And I had some people ask, what do you do when it's already full? Do you always add all the words? And my goal for a heart word wall, like I have here, let me move back. My goal for the heart word wall, again, is for students to use it as they need it. It's supposed to be a reference wall, just like everything else they have over here. Everything back here is for them to reference as they need, but there are going to be some of these heart words like is and so and to and as. I can probably pick about 10 of them that students already know, the word the up there. And once they've mastered it, I'm not going to use that space anymore. So we have 4 new words over here, try, why, by, and my, that we are introducing today, and I will add them to the word wall today, and we will take down ones we already know. So I'll ask for students' opinions. I know they're gonna pick the, and if they don't, I'm gonna, lead them towards it. Is, to, so, all of those are ones that they definitely have mastered now, and so we will remove it from the wall, and we'll add the new ones up there. Again, if they are not looking towards the back wall, that's great. That means they've already mastered it, but I don't want to take up that usable space. This is not a wall to just like show all the heart words we've learned. It's a wall to help students when they need it during writing time, if that makes sense. I also had to reprint while I was laminating those heart words over there. I had to reprint, unfortunately, one of my tasks had a misprint on them. A whole page was misprinted, so had to print those out. So if you did happen to download these like the day or two after I uploaded them, either to the Math Club or TPT, one of the pages is incorrect, but it has been fixed, and I am sorry about that, but that's ready to go for later today. I also switched up something in reading today. We are going to be reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and we're going to start talking about, with our fairy tales, we're going to talk about the power of 3. So we're reading Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We're going to read the Three Little Pigs. We're going to start that. And I was going to have them do a response sheet during that literacy center time, like I always have them respond to the text. But instead, these the NK glued sounds have been very difficult for my students. So I instead am going to take that out, and instead, so here I said Goldilocks and the Three Bears. We'll notice that many fairy tales have the number 3 in them in some way. We're gonna talk about more of that. And then here I have, instead of the connecting to the text activity, I'm gonna have students partner up and play spin, say, spell. This is one of my favorite games for students to play because they have to say the word aloud. And then we have bank, blink, skunk, and tank. They'll have to practice spelling it. I just think that's going to be a better use of our time today than having them respond to the Goldilocks and the Three Bears with the power of 3, especially since this is the first book we're reading with that skill. So we'll just kind of talk about it together, whole group, and then I'll have students go into their independent part. So I updated those slides. I got everything ready. I'm gonna get ready for the kids to come, and I'll check in with you a little bit later. Good morning, happy Thursday. I know I checked in the last couple days, kind of just going over what we have been up to. Today we're continuing that. We have our fairy tales unit. We're still doing glued sounds. Lots of practice reading and writing those words. We also have the decodable that we're going to do from Foundations. And I've shared this before, but what I do is I put it up on the board. I can show you a screen in a minute, but I type up the story on the board. We practice reading it together. We'll kind of scoop it, and that is when we practice our fluency. So it's a decodable text first. So I have students decode it. We figure out what it says, and then we practice fluency, and we'll do that through echo reading, where I read first, then they copy so they can hear what it should sound like, and we talk about what it should sound like. And then we do choral reading, where we all try to read it together. And then I have students go split up into partners, and they will partner read it. They'll read sentence by sentence. and then we add it to our fluency folder. So it's a story that, again, starts as decodable, and then they read it over and over, so that way it becomes more fluent for them. So it's great practice. But let me show you what that looks like. So I pulled it up on my computer because I was just so impressed. We have I'm in a smaller school, but we have a bigger district because it's there's multiple schools within the district. So all of the K through 2 teachers in the district are coming to one school to have all the PD there, and they'll kind of separate throughout the building. And then the 3 through 6 teachers will be at another school to kind of separate the PD based on what we need, which is always very nice. That's something I find that I love about working at a K through 2 school. All the other schools I've worked at in the past were K through 5 or had older kids, which is fine, but then it's hard to find PD that really fits what you need. So some of the sessions, just to share, one of them, which sounded great, it's like if anxiety were a character, and this is run by somebody who's an expert in that field, and just getting to learn about social emotional learning, anxiety, why it's becoming such a prevalent thing, with students, and how we can help. So that's a fun session. That one was already taken up. We have both of our curriculum specialists. Our literacy specialist is doing 3 sessions, so she'll do all 3 of them with literacy centers that are like make and take. So you can see what they look like, ones that are science of reading aligned, see what they look like, see what you could use in your class, and you can actually make them and take them back with you. Same with math, that's gonna be like that. There's a whole session I'm going to, the second session, which is a report card session. Again, this is a new district that I'm in. We have new report cards, and it sounds like a great working session to get some of those comments done. So we'll talk about like what good comments sound like, kind of be on the same page with that, and then get to actually type them up, which is so nice. Other ones include mindfulness ideas. We have introduction to sensory integration disorders. We have some writing sessions. I recently did a conference for the Educator Summit here where I talked about different writing strategies and activities that I use in the classroom. I'm actually doing a session during the first block. Me and another first grade teacher are just going to talk about some writing strategies that we are using in first grade that are effective for our learning. So we're going to do that during the first session. I think there's about like 15 teachers who are going to come, so it'll be nice and casual, and we can I'll do a little presenting, a little talking, a little workshopping, and we'll see how it goes. There's sessions on Canva and using Google Slides. Like, it's such a fun idea. I don't know if your district does anything like this, but if you do, let me know down in the comments. But I think it's really, really fun. Like I said, we get to choose between the 3, then we have lunch, and in the afternoon we get to meet together as our team. So I'm really excited. And there's no kids, so it's kind of like teacher math where it's like no school tomorrow, even though I have to present, but that's okay. What day is today? Thursday. Yep, we're reading 3 Little Pigs. Let me see. Phonics folder. This should have our passage in here. And these come right from the Foundation's website. So here we are. King Sam. So like I said, we'll decode it together on the board first, and then students will get their paper copy. As I pass it out, I'll tell them to start reading it in their heads first. Then we will echo read, choral read, and pass it out for partner reading. I'm gonna leave this here so I can 3-hole punch it too, so they can store it in their fluency folders. Really, that's all we've got going on today. We've got the glued sounds, fairy tales. We are doing subtraction. We've done subtraction the past 2 days. We did counting back, and we did, what was the one? Oh, yesterday we tried making 10, which I think next week, like I said, I'm gonna go in a little more detail and share what I'm doing for those addition and subtraction strategies, some lessons that we're doing, as well as some of the games and activities we're playing. But today is kind of like our Friday because tomorrow is PD all day. So the kids don't have school, it's a teacher day. And I wanted to share a little bit about how that works. So let me pull something up on my computer. I'm just gonna show you on my computer because I don't feel like getting up. But so here for phonics, we're gonna review the NG sounds and the NK sounds, our glued ones. These will come up one by one. So it'll be like sound, sound, ink, what's the word? And then we'll do a picture of each one. So they'll come up one by one. And then here is the story. So for Unit 7, it is called King Sam. So I just type it out here with a little picture. Like I said, we'll read it together and decode it on the board first so we know what it says. And then I will pass out the fluency passage for them. Okay, so I've worked for quite a few different districts over the years, and they do PD in many different ways. But here they have an entire PD day, and it's kind of casual, but also very structured. So instead of just having like a district-wide PD, we have a lot of that for the science of reading, for the science of writing. We've already done a lot of PD that the entire district plans, but in January they have a full PD day and teachers get to pick different sessions to go to. And some of them are run by like experts, some are run by our curriculum people, and some are run by just like teachers in the classroom to share some tips and ideas that are working in their classroom and be able to share it with others. So you can kind of pick and choose. So in the morning, we'll have 3 different sessions that we can pick and choose from. And then in the afternoon, we have job-alike meetings. So I'll meet with my first grade team, and we have new report cards that we're doing this year. So we're gonna spend time going over that because our first report card session is coming up at the end of the month. So yeah, I'm going to get ready for the day and start looking at the plans for next week already, because that's where we are. And of course, no school on Monday because it's Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Nice long weekend. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up so I know. Make sure you are subscribed to my channel and click that bell. That way you're notified of every new video. See you in the next one. Bye.